Hello and welcome back to this SlimDevOps Live episode 36. Sorry we've been on a little bit of a hiatus for a couple of weeks, but we're back and I am joined by Primoz. How you doing?
Doing fine.
Excellent.
Hello, everybody.
I know you've got some interesting stuff to show us in just a little bit, but for those of you that might be watching this after the fact on YouTube, this was originally recorded live on twitch.tv/SlimDevOps. So if you would like to join in these sessions interactively, then head over to twitch.tv/SlimDevOps and give us a follow. So Primoz, it's been a while, but
Yes.
You're back again, so this is going to be a good one. And so far, your batting record is 100% success.
Something like that.
So we're going to be doing some live demos. Hopefully not too much pressure, but I have faith in you. But it's been a while since you and I've chatted. But what have you been up to recently?
Mostly work, and I've been playing around with some package managers. Actually, trying to figure out how package managers store lists of packages.
And when you say package managers, are you talking about sort of typical Linux package managers?
Yeah.
Or all right, okay.
So,
But not things like gem
Linux.
and npm.
That is on my list currently.
Okay.
I've been dealing with dpackage and RPM.
Right.
Each of them have a way different way of storing lists of packages, and it's a learning experience.
And may I ask why are you researching this?
I'm researching this for DockerSlim, my little contribution to our open source project.
Okay, so I feel like in a future date we'll be having a chat about what you've learned about this process, because that sounds like I think I know where that's headed, but I think we'll definitely get you back on to talk about what you've learned and what the application of those learnings were and the benefits that DockerSlim has as a result.
Sure.
So, well, I've been kind of absent from the internet generally, but I'm kind of re-emerging from that whole hiatus. So I'm glad to be doing this, although I'm surprised you don't do a stream for a few weeks and suddenly you forget everything that's required to do it, and it was much harder than I remember setting everything up. So here we are. So today we're going to be looking at some optimization techniques. We're going to be taking I think we've got a couple of example containers we're going to look at today, and we're going to optimize those using DockerSlim. And then, demo gods looking down upon us favorably, we're going to take one of those and run that through the new minification capabilities on the Slim.AI platform. And I say demo gods because there's a lot of active development on this feature in the platform at the moment, so we've had to sort of stride into a quiet spell where everything's not moving beneath us in order to do this demonstration. But the reason that we want to do these demos today is, one, we're going to be covering some different techniques using DockerSlim, but we're also going to be showing some stuff with Slim.AI, and we're going to be inviting people to join us for an office hours in our Discord on Monday, and you can bring your own container and we'll help you go through the process of optimizing and minifying your container using the Slim.AI platform. And hopefully through this process today, you'll learn what the differences are between using DockerSlim and Slim.AI, and what the value add might be for you on the Slim.AI platform. So does that set things up? Have I missed anything there, Primoz?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so where are we going to start? Should I just bring up some links to the examples we're going to be taking a look at today?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know better. So here are some examples. We have the DockerSlim GitHub repository. So it's here. I'll put this in chat now, so anyone that's following along can take a look at those. But I think the first one we're going to look at, and I say the first one you're going to take us through is this Node and Redis example using Docker Compose. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
great.
This example is using Docker Compose, so it's a bit more complex than your single image example, and it runs a Node API and a Redis cache server to store stuff. So you actually see the effect of what your API does.
And I think I know that these are examples that you've been working on and refining
Yes.
by way of sort of documentary evidence, if you like, of like how to manipulate DockerSlim with, real world examples, real world languages and platforms and infrastructure integrations. And I like this one because we're going to be slimming this based on the compose file, as you say, not just a single image. And then after that, we're going to be taking a look at this one, which is a Nuxt image, and we use Nuxt for our web UI and platforms. So we're gonna be taking a look at this one, and not just from the DockerSlim perspective, but also through the Slim.AI platform as well. So going to be giving you an early look at how minification works in the Slim.AI platform and what the benefits of using that might be. So shall I hand over to you so you can dig into the first example?
I guess.
Okay, then.
Begin. So, okay. Let's hop into the examples. As you see, there are a lot of examples for many languages, and at least right now I would like to bit of a call to action for everybody to, if you have a language you do not see on the list, or if you think that some example isn't working correctly, or you want me to enhance it, please let me know on Discord, and I will work on it. And yes, our podcast that is on my list as well.
So yes, Eric, thank you. It's a timely reminder, but we should absolutely get your example integrated into this sort of canonical list of examples that Pod's been working on. Any help there? If you want to file an initial pull request to add it, and then we can help iterate on that and refine it. That would be great.
So I just opened up the Docker Compose file for our first example. So it is, as I said, it's using two different images. It's a standard Redis image and our own image for a service that utilizes Redis.
Okay.
So we can find service also in this folder in the service directory, but right now we're going to be using already built image from Docker Hub.
I understand.
We also provide. So DockerSlim build. Now I'm gonna open up help because even I sometimes forget the right things to put.
So I think, the first thing to point out here is that DockerSlim has a rich set of capabilities to really sort of craft and hone how it operates over your containers. Yep. And I think what we'll be demonstrating is that some of that can be a little bit overwhelming if you are kind of new to DockerSlim and, you know, the benefits of minification. Now, we do have a couple of articles on our discourse. So if you go to community.slim.ai, you'll find a couple of examples there, one of which is one that I wrote that kind of explains how includes and probes work. So those are the two sort of main sort of features that really unlock capabilities. But sorry to interrupt, but carry on.
Yes, it has a lot of options, and for most of your images, especially if you run a single image, you might not even need to run a single command, single additional argument. But right now we're definitely gonna need two arguments. So this one,
Right,
and this one. With dash composed file, we tell it which file to use, and with dash target composed service, we tell it which service we want to minify, we want to optimize, however you want to refer to it.
So we're telling it to use a Docker Compose image, or rather a Docker Compose file, and then which service within that Compose file is the one that we're actually wanting to operate on.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So dash compose file. So it will be docker compose dot YAML. Now, because this is a bit long, I'm gonna just copy it. And if I remember correctly, it's supposed to be app svc. Now, for most applications, this should be enough because it already has its HTTP probe enabled by default. So HTTP probe is basically a crawler which crawls through all of the available sites or endpoints that are available from Slash by default. You can also define another base endpoint, and you can work from that.
So I will just put a link to So I've just shared in chat a link to and I've just brought that up on screen. So if you want to know more about probes and includes, they're a particularly useful capability. There's a link to our discourse. You don't have to remember the whole URL, just community.slim.ai will get you to where you need to be. But for those of you that are watching right now, you can go there and read that one.
So let's press the enter key and hope it works. Okay, so this error is mainly because the sensor that lives inside the image hasn't actually yet connected to this DockerSlim instance, so it outputs a small error and then retries as many times as needed. And you see it did a couple of probe calls.
Right.
It typically has one call on Slash.
Yep.
And it said there is no error, so it works. Now we have our image name, which is now DockerSlim example / Node.js composed as service.slim, and we see that it's 40 megabytes in size. Now the original image, if we look here, I believe was 676.
So what's that? That's like nearly 14 times, I think.
I
No, more
think
than that.
something like that.
15. My maths is... Oh,
16.83 times.
yeah.
Of course, I just noticed original image is written right
Oh,
here.
there we go. Oh, that there. I could have saved myself the mental arithmetic.
Yeah. And yeah, now we're gonna just quickly change this to and
why are you
the
doing
other
that?
one. We have all files already available, so you just rename them and it's already prepared for use with Docker.
Oh, I think you've got a
Compose.
typo in your second command there.
Yay. And
hang on, you've still got a typo.
Yeah, yay. Trying to be when your brain is faster than your hands.
This is pair programming via the internet. Right.
Now we can see this is the version that will actually run the slimmed image. Now if we run Docker compose up and
right, so what you've done there is just switch the compose files around to run the slimmed version of the image. So
yes,
the image that's been produced, that is what did we see, almost 17 times smaller.
Yeah. Now let's see. So it's at this one should work. Let's see which. Having many browsers. Okay, I know what this is. Trying to operate while being used to other settings. 0.0.1, 808, and
right. Okay, so that's basically like a heartbeat ping test of the Redis instance.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So what you did there is we had a Docker Compose file that described or defined two services, and you've minified one of them, and then you've brought up that minified image and demonstrated that it still works correctly.
Yeah.
Hello, Esme. Welcome to the stream. I should also say, welcome back to Eric and Takov as well, who have also, stopped by to say hello.
Hey, everybody. Now, for our next example, first let's wait for it to stop.
Okay. I will just put a link to that example, the new one we're about to do. One moment. You carry on, Big Pod. I will go and get that and paste that in.
Just prepare for next example. Okay.
I've already forgotten which one it is. I'm gonna have to switch back to my machine here to actually pick up the right example. So this is the example we're going to look at now, which is based on Nuxt. So I'll flip back to your setup so you can run through this, and I'll drop this. So we have a question from Eric, so I shall put that up now. Eric asks, will the probe calls repeat automatically if the request fails?
Yes. They repeat up to 5 times, but you can configure that with however many times you want.
Right.
When I was testing, I had up to 100 one time because I wasn't sure if my service was a problem or actually there was a bug and it was my service. Like you could have guessed.
There we go. So again, and Eric, you'll find the link to the article that I've written, and it does cover some of those options to sort of manipulate the way that probes work. You can just configure them using arguments on the command line. You can also create JSON objects in order to sort of change the way that probes work, because by default I think they just do get crawling, but you can also craft post requests using JSON objects as well, and you'll find some examples of that in the post in the community forum.
A note here is that generally they don't execute JavaScript, the crawlers. The crawler currently doesn't execute JavaScript. So that could be a small problem, which is actually, with our next example, actually one of the reasons it needs include flag we will be using.
Okay, great. And these examples that you're working on here, you've talked about, probes and includes, and the link that I posted earlier also talks about includes and probes. They're both extremely useful in sort of tuning a good proportion of what you might want to do with DockerSlim and also the Slim.AI platform, although the way that those options are exposed is slightly different, which we'll get into in a little bit later.
Yes. So, shall we continue?
Sure.
So this is NuxtSSR example. So for those who do not know, SSR is server-side rendering. So that means that all the rendering is done on the server, and then it's transported over some sort of mechanism like WebSockets or something like that to your client, and then just a DOM diff happens via JavaScript or WebAssembly, depending on the language that you're using. Specifically here we're using Nuxt and JavaScript, so that happens in JavaScript. So you see this directory is quite different. It still has a service where the service is actually located. You can even check it out, see what is happening with the whole Nuxt example. But we also have, more importantly, we have this make file and this directory and this env file. These three files and directory are used to make your life easier while testing this example. If you check out the make file, you see there are a lot of things you can hit to actually do the stuff for us. You don't have to know the whole command. You don't have to know everything about this example to actually get it to work. And all the scripts that are behind this are hidden in DockerSlim directory. So we want to let's look at the build, how it builds your image. So we can check the build fat shell script, and there's some boilerplate to make things properly work. But the big thing is here. There are some variables like this one, image name, which are sourced from DockerSlim env file, where it just has a bunch of environment variables with which you can, like image name and stuff like that. So they're easily defined for the whole example. Now this is just a simple no cache build, nothing that hard. Let's just use make to build it. And
right. Okay.
it runs standard Docker. Now it's gonna pull down Node.
Yeah, Node is a large, many-layered base image.
An important note, if you're gonna be using Docker with Nuxt, you need to use an LTS version of Node, because otherwise it just doesn't work.
So are you saying there that Nuxt and Node are kind of, or rather Nuxt is in lockstep with LTS releases of Node? Right, okay.
It requires LTS release dependency.
Right. Any LTS or current LTS?
I believe any LTS will work.
Okay.
At least the current one and the last one work.
It's interesting how LTS has become common vernacular in sort of, you know, the software development community for me, meaning, you know, well, what it means, which, you know, is long-term stable release, which is, you know, it originated from the Ubuntu world, but it's been adopted by the kernel and so many other language and ecosystem communities as well. It's yeah, it's a good moniker for, you know, this is a stable thing, use this one.
And now the npm install. This sometimes takes a while because npm is big and a lot of dependencies are required by Nuxt.
Right.
And question of whether that is secure or not, how things can affect, but at least some of that can be alleviated with DockerSlim to at least eliminate those vulnerabilities you can get away from.
Yeah, you touch on an interesting point there, because, you know, we talk about DockerSlim as being a means of reducing the attack surface for your containers that you deploy into production. And it's an easy thing to say, but it's not necessarily an easy thing to understand. So what do we mean by that? Well, I'll give you my take and you can correct me where I go wrong. So what DockerSlim does is it analyzes the container as it's being executed, and it basically ejects everything from the container that wasn't required whilst that container was running. And by doing that, and it's literally everything. So when you start with a fat container, you get a slim container. The slim container is a single layer container image, and all it contains is the files and assets that were used or touched whilst that container was running. So consequently, you may have a Node application that's pulled in hundreds of Node dependencies, and, you know, the ripples of those may go out to thousands of modules, but what you're left with is only those bits of code that are required to run your app. And consequently, when you do a security scan for and after, you'll often find significant reductions in the security exposure of your Slim container. This is something we're going to go into more detail on in the future, so if that's something that interests you, then follow, like and subscribe in all the appropriate places, because we'll be going into that in more detail. What did I miss in that big point?
So npm did its thing and installed all the packages required. These red are just warnings about some things not being maintained and such, and we have 15 vulnerabilities. Some of them are high, some of them are moderate.
Okay.
Some of this can be fixed using npm audit fix, but since this isn't included in our Docker file, it won't happen. Now npm is doing a script of build, which is actually Nuxt build, and this is doing a production build of our Nuxt application. Just to add to what you were saying, Basically, all the images you're using, so especially base images like Ubuntu, Fedora, um, Universal Red Hat image, OpenSUSE image, they have a lot of different dependencies they use, applications they have, like even just a package manager. All that is in your production environment not needed, because it's just something that is on in the image, but you're not actually using.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all potential security holes for your application.
Yeah.
And should be removed.
And in some cases, those bits of software may not be security holes, but what they do is, if the container that you're operating, that you've deployed in production, is compromised through a vulnerability that's been inadvertently added through your own code. Let's imagine you've got some kind of buffer overflow and somebody is able to, exploit that in a container that you've got deployed in production. Though that development tooling that you may have inadvertently included in your container now exposes tools to your would-be attacker that enables them to potentially island hop and disrupt your infrastructure elsewhere in your deployment. So what DockerSlim does is removing all of that stuff that's not needed to run your production application, means that it significantly reduces the attack surface and the capabilities of a would-be attacker should they find a way into containers that you've got deployed.
Yes. So now the Docker build is completed. This is just some information about sizes of your assets and stuff like that. Now, there is another file that we need to know about now. For this example, let's include paths file. This is a file in which I have specified all the directories and files that need to be included with the app, with the image after being slimmed. There are two ways to specify this. You can do --include paths or --include paths file. We'll be using --includes paths file. So Docker Slim, then build --include paths. If you do just that and you define a path, you can have a path. If you can use this argument as many times as you want, but what we'll be using is -file, so we can have all the include paths in a simple version controllable file.
Right.
Include paths.
Yeah. Which is great best practice to include, your configuration alongside, the container build instructions.
Now, all we need to do is we need to find the name of our image, which is conveniently named the same way it is named on our Docker Hub. And I think this is it. Oh, no, it's not. What have I written wrong? Oh, it's not include paths, include path.
Ah, yeah.
One S too many. And it's running. This one is 1.1 gigabyte in size now. We're waiting for it.
This is the fat container, is 1.
Yes. As we can see, the crawler went through many of the pages available.
Yeah.
And other assets as well. Like we can see Beautify SVG or our favicon icon, or even JavaScript scripts themselves. It opened the scripts themselves, but what didn't happen, it didn't actually run those scripts. So anything that is behind them, like node modules, don't get picked up by this.
Yep.
That's why we needed to actually include node modules as a thing. Now,
so one way we've discussed in the past of sort of creating a means to exercise your container whilst it's being observed by DockerSlim to include most or all of what's required is to exercise like your integration test suite.
yes,
Yeah.
that is also an option. I believe it's actually either in current release or in the next release coming, but I'm not 100% sure.
Of DockerSlim, that's...
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
I believe. I could be wrong. That's not exactly my area of work. What specifically is coming with DockerSlim? As you can see, I'm actually running a one minor release slower from actual what's supposed to be. It's actually a bit. I actually thought I was running a build that I built myself, but apparently not. And fun part is status outdated would show even if I ran my own build. So now we just need to run. And I'm not going to open any ports because it will automatically open up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to access directly the container itself
without
exposing the port. This is a hidden trick of Docker. This is actually because you're actually connecting to because you're actually in the same network as all the different networks of Docker. And this is actually base Vuetify template. So if you ever used Vuetify with NuxtJS, you know this as the first thing you probably run to see if it's actually working.
Yeah, and this is something Pete and I've made use of in the past in our Containers 101 series as we got a little more advanced and we started to break our application up from front end, back end and database and storage services. This is where we started, where we started to make our ropey looking application a little bit more beautiful.
Now it also has a button. Let's click it. And it works. It gives us a quote and a nice image. So now this is how this example works. There are some other examples, and these examples in SaaS examples repository are specifically tested with our SaaS platform. So when you're ready, Martin, we can take a look at that as well.
Am I going to the SaaS platform?
I'm going, but
you're going.
If there are any questions,
not at the moment. No, I've fielded some responses in chat. I think we're good to move on. So,
do you have any questions?
No. So, well, I don't. So I followed along there. Maybe I wasn't channeling my inner first-time observer well enough. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take that same example that Primož has just been looking at with a Nuxt container in DockerSlim and now go through the same optimization process using the Slim.AI developer platform.
If you are a first-time user of Minify, I recommend you check out this containerization demo.
Yep.
But we're gonna be minifying our server NuxtJS server side, which we already minified on my system. So let's find it with our search.
So that's searching the.
All,
is it
all
just
public
all public container registries
and any private registry I have connected.
Okay, so yeah, actually go to yeah, if you don't mind, just go to connectors. It's worth
I don't think I
pointing
have
that out.
anything bad.
Yeah,
No, I don't.
okay. So you can see here at a glance the container registries that we currently support, and we're adding more all the time. And you can connect your public registries, and also if your organization has private registries, then you can connect those as well, and they'll then all be searchable and indexable and discoverable through our web platform once you've connected them up.
Currently, I have connected ECR private registry, so that's
Right.
it's from Amazon Web Services Cloud, the Elastic Cloud Container Registry. Would that be correct, Martin?
I don't remember exactly if that's what it stands for, but it's definitely
Me
Amazon.
neither. Yeah. You can also connect from Google GCR, Docker Hub, and Red Hat's Quay. There will be additional
Yeah.
connectors added in future, like for GitHub, GitLab, probably Azure's
Yep.
ACR.
There are several, and I even think that Canonical have one in the works as well called Rocks.
Probably.
Yeah.
Currently, you can't add a custom connector, so that would be if you have your own, let's say, Harbor or Registry v2. But maybe in future you will be able to do that as well. They are a bit of, each of them have a special APIs you can hit, and we're utilizing those.
So I've just been asked, I should put this on screen. I've been asked, is the platform dark mode by default?
No.
No, I think it is. I
don't think so.
I'm certain.
I opened up. I haven't logged in a while on my personal laptop.
Well,
and I got blinded. And I know I haven't.
There is some disagreement between Primosh and I, but I think when I last spoke to Sam about this, dark mode was default. But if it's not default, it's definitely an option.
Yes, it's definitely an option.
But I think it's default.
maybe in the latest version. I'm not gonna click it because I don't want to.
No, don't mess it up for now. Yeah, you stick with the happy path.
Let's go back to our search. It's loading, and this is the image we want. We can actually, let's just click on it. Let me just see if I can get it to Docker Hub directly, or I can get myself a link real quick. Where is that link? I know I have it. I don't. Strange. Oh, I know where I'm gonna get it here. So this is the repository where everything is stored, and if we, here. This is the blinding effect of Docker Hub. This is the image you can. It's publicly available, so everybody can use it. Slim example. There are some other images, like a SPA version of this Nuxt application. This is a server side, and even we have a Vue.js base Vue.js image, and even you can see the Slim Nuxt demo, which is actually the demo application you use if you run our demo.
Right.
Now, if we return back to Slim.AI portal, to minify, you just click this Optimize button. It's a nice small icon. When you click on it, it starts the wizard. So you have many container locations where you can store the container. Okay. For me, I have Slim Cloud, which is our special storage location. our internal storing application, it is available to everybody, but it doesn't have pull capabilities. So you're
Okay.
gonna need to download it as a tarball.
Okay,
Or
so
we can
that's
go with
useful
my
though, right? So
ECR.
that means
Yeah,
that if anyone's got an account they haven't connected to a container registry, they can get a minified container, an optimized container, and then they can download that container after the fact without having to
yes.
have a registry account. Okay.
You can change the container namespace, name an event tag, but if you click next, we're brought to our select application type.
Okay.
We have Nuxt application, which is a template specific to Nuxt, our server application template, and a CLI application template.
Okay.
We can go with just Nuxt, and this is our first inflection point. This is where we can define our folders and files to include. This is equal to the include paths file we saw on my on the DockerSlim version.
So this is abstracting away those command line arguments where you needed to know where your stuff was, making sensible default suggestions as to the places you probably want to have preserved in your container.
So here we have already pre-done some entries, but those may not be required as they are specific to more complex applications.
Right.
We can specify .nux here, and we can here just go with /app/node modules.
Right.
As we can see, let me just bring up. Where is it? Here. Okay, doesn't want to stop. That's fun, as always. That's one of the problems with specifically containers for Nuxt. They don't want to stop sometimes. Let me just bring another one so I can show you that. Okay. Here we go. As you can see, /app.nuxt and /app node modules.
Okay.
As we have entered here, and we just go next. This is where you can set up your HTTP probe if you need it, and it also allows you to set a app base, so where your application is based. So standard is /, most applications can start with /. Now here we can click just next. Since we do not have a compose file, we have already pre-selected. Now if we had a compose file, we would click yes.
Right.
Now you have here, you can review your setting, and you can actually click this edit the configuration to get the advanced view, where you can add additional options like exec probe, which runs a script in your Docker, in your container, which goes through executing commands. This is especially useful for CLI applications. You have other like additional include.
So essentially, these advanced options are everything that you can tune using the DockerSlim command line arguments. But what the wizard is trying to do is take you through the happy path of, I know my application is a Nuxt application, so give me some sensible defaults to start with and hide all of this complexity away from me unless I really know that I want to dig into some of these things.
You can start with advanced configuration on the first screen. You have a checkbox.
I saw,
advanced configuration.
Yeah.
So since we have nothing to change, we can click next. It will start our optimization.
So
can
at
even
this
see
point, this is
our log.
effectively running DockerSlim against that container image based on the configuration options you've chosen through that wizard.
Yes. Now we
And
can
I
see our
can't
logs.
remember, did you ask the resulting container to go to one of your connected registries or the Slim
I
place?
told it to go to Slim Cloud.
Okay.
This seems a bit odd. This might be some debug information I'm not aware of, but it did build.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, that's a little bit more. Oh, that's a nice visual. Okay. I don't think I've seen this. Okay, so that's nice. So that's telling us what our starting size was, and we've got a nice bar chart showing what the reduction in size was. Okay, and because you've put that in Slim Cloud, it gives you a
And it's
tarball.
about right.
Right. Okay. So 1.1 to 200. Yeah. Okay. So very similar, in fact, because you did tune it slightly, so it may be slightly different because you chose some slightly different options. But I think 7 megabytes is kind of in the ballpark of.
Happens sometimes.
Well,
now from here, as I said, you can download the image.
Right. Okay.
And here even offers you the command how to load it.
Right.
You can go forward to diffing the image, so checking the difference between your non-optimized and optimized container.
Right.
This is a standard paths forward.
So that's the ability to look at the fat container and the slim container and see what happened, essentially, what got removed.
Yes.
And in some cases that may be useful for identifying that there is some path to some static assets that maybe you need to add to the minification process because you really want to keep those things around regardless of, you know, what happens as things are made smaller.
Actually, the diff capability and actually its counterpart, the file, the Slim 3, which actually shows you all the files that are available without you having to run the container on your system, are what actually pulled me towards Slim.AI and Portal. to me, these two capabilities were already meant a lot.
Yeah, I think these features are going to be highlighted more prominently in the coming months because there's definitely value here that we need to share and demonstrate why this is a particularly useful tool. But yeah, it's interesting. As somebody who is working on containers a lot, I can understand why you found this useful for sure.
Yeah. Now, Artin, which path forward do you want to go?
Sorry, what was the question?
Which path forward? Shall we download or shall we go look at the diff?
Oh, I think we should look at the diff. As we've just been talking about, you know, why that was such an attractive feature, I think we should look at that.
So right now it's running both images, checking them out.
Okay, so that's doing the comparison between latest from Docker Hub, which is a full fat container, and the slim container that you've just generated.
Yes.
So it takes a moment to actually do that comparison.
Yeah.
But the other thing is the benefit here is this is all happening not on your computer. You know, to use the old adage of, you know, what is the cloud? The cloud is somebody else's computer. Somebody else's computer did that comparison for you.
Yeah. Now, I'm gonna remove this star from search to get a bit better file tree. That's a hint from me, because you get the ability to open and close directories. Now
Right.
you can see which stuff was removed by not being grayed out,
Right.
and some this stuff should have been removed, but okay. Everything that wasn't needed was removed, like media, mount, opt, rock, and stuff like that. It was all removed because it wasn't
Yeah, a
required
bunch of
by-
alarming things to people that are familiar with Linux. If you're running Linux on bare metal, you'd think, oh my goodness, how does my machine run without, proc? And I think I saw sys and var. Var had been mostly, eradicated. But of course,
how does it run without boot?
right, indeed.
Of course, in this case, boot should be empty.
Yeah, but there is no kernel in these images. I mean, technically, these containers. There is no Linux in these containers, right? They're just applications.
They actually use the kernel of your
Host
or the
machine.
system they are running on.
Yeah.
But it's still somewhat alarming to someone like me who runs Linux to see there is no boot, or there's no
dev,
no home.
Yeah. So what we're left with is just the application, just the means to execute the application that we want to run in that container.
Yeah. As you can see, even some parts of the application are not required to be removed.
Right.
Like package log file, like README.
Yeah.
Like JS config.
And in fact, this is another important point. Sorry. I do apologize. I've been drinking fizzy mineral water today and I've got the hiccups. One of the other security advantages here is things like your Docker file will be removed from the slimmed container. And also things like secrets. If you've accidentally exposed your secrets inside your container, when it gets minified, those are likely to get stripped out.
Especially if you have them in a separate file that is not directly accessed by your application on the hot path.
Yeah.
And another great thing is it is actually doing removing layers and basically squashing them into one layer.
Right.
We can actually check it out here. Let's see. So this would be our minified image. If we rescan it and check it while not comparing it to anything, we can see it has only layer 0.
Yeah. Yeah, this came up in the DockerSlim Discord a couple of days ago. Somebody was slimming something and they were saying, oh, layers have been removed. And it's like, well, not just layers. It's like it composes a new image, a new single layer image from the process. So it doesn't remove layers. It's a whole new image that is a single layer image.
Nowadays, even Docker itself allows you to build an image that has only a single layer. It basically squashes the layers together into a single one at the end.
Yeah.
Because it has shown that it's better to have less layers.
Right. This helps with, deployment velocity and things of that nature.
Yeah. But layers are good for things like building. Because
they're excellent in the sort of iterative process of development. Yes. They are extremely valuable because of the way that caching works, and you don't have to continually rebuild the sort of the foundational layers of your application. You only need to iterate on like the top, one or two. But when it comes to production, you don't need all of that stuff. You just want the actual app.
Yeah. So I think that's it for my demonstration.
Well,
thank you. Want to see anything?
Well, I have no new questions from the Twitch chat, but thank you for that. That was an excellent set of demos. I think the one thing I do want to say at this point is everything that Primoz has just demonstrated there, we're going to invite you. You can see the link above my head. You'll find a link to our Discord channel on that website. Just scroll to the bottom footer. You'll find it there. We're going to be doing an office hours on Monday next week, where you can bring your own container and run through that wizard that we showed you there, where you can choose between Nuxt and Server and Cli. And we want to see how badly you can break the platform, or maybe you experience glorious success and significant optimizations, which is obviously the outcome we're looking for. But we realize we need people's feedback and different container images to be tested in order to actually make this robust and usable, because we want to add more of those initial templates. So at the moment we've got that one that says it's a Nux container. Well, maybe we want to add one that says it's a Python Flask container, or it's a Ruby Rails container, and give you some starting points that guide you down the happy path quickest.
Yep. But many of the examples we saw listed at the start should probably also work here. If you build them, you push one.
Oh, in fact, that's the wrong screen. Let me just go here. So this is where. So if you want to get started with DockerSlim, these are a whole set of examples for different languages and ecosystems. I've put that in the chat there. So you can have a look at these to get started. And as we said at the outset, if what you're looking for isn't here, then by all means, either craft a pull request or ask a question. Join our Discord. Ask a question. Ask us how to get started with a particular language or ecosystem, and when we're able, we'll try and circle round to that and actually give you a sort of an example to get started with.
You can ping me on Discord with stuff like that. I'm always happy to have other languages and frameworks to add.
Yep, we are, and we know there are many to cover, but hopefully the examples that we do have are a good illustration of how to get started. So pull requests welcome, failing that discussion welcome, and we'll try and help you find a way to get your stuff working quickly. Hey Graham, welcome. Unfortunately, we're just wrapping up, Graham, but thank you for stopping by. Maybe you can watch the VOD and see what we've just covered here this evening. Well, with that, all that remains to say is the link above my head. Go there, join the Discord, and think about the container that you would like to bring on Monday. We'll do an office hours and we'll see how many people we can help. Generally, we get half a dozen to a dozen people in those office hours, but we have enough people that we can maybe break off into different channels to help different groups. So have a think over the weekend about what you want to have a test with, and hopefully we'll see you on Monday. Is there anything else you want to add, Big Pod, before we wrap it up?
No, I don't think I have anything to add.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That was a comprehensive set of examples. I really enjoyed watching those demos. That was ace. Oh, hang on a minute. Takov has got a question here, or at least a comment. Let's see. So Takov says, I was thinking of a Python 2 Dockerization to fix. Just needs to figure out a way to create all the dependency version restrictions. So Takov, am I getting this right, that you're choosing Python 2 because it's basically EOL now, but there's a bunch of applications that still rely on Python 2, so therefore sticking it inside a sort of sandboxed container could be a safer way to deploy apps like that? Is that what you're driving at? I can only imagine, but yeah, Python 2, it's still around after all this time. I can remember going to PyCon in 2009 and being told that Python 3 was the future, and here we are in 2022, and we're still quite not there yet.
It's software world. You can never run away from all software. We know that COBOL and Fortran are still running different companies. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Something so new as Python 2, it probably is around a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So Takov's actually wants to run like an archive going back in time. So basically preserving in ASPIC, Python applications when they were once, Python 2. It's an interesting idea, but yes, containers are absolutely a great way to tackle something like that. I've been there before with different technologies. It's definitely a genuine way to use container technologies to preserve stuff from the past. And Primož was just talking about COBOL and Fortran. I know full well this is why mainframes can run containers these days, because I've been to IBM where they actually create their new mainframe silicon, and the various ways to run Linux on those mainframes. And yes, containers, Linux on mainframes, it's a great way to run those applications from the past that just need to keep on trucking.
And a good note for if you want to archive a desktop image, you can check out on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Me and Martin actually did a stream a bit ago about Dockerizing a desktop application.
Yeah, again, you'll find the links, the URL above me. You'll find a YouTube link, and Primož and I've done 3 or 4 streams together now, and
I think this one is the 4th one.
I think this is 4, yeah.
And one of them was ad hoc me joining the last
one. and yes, we have done that whole running desktop applications inside containers. It's a very versatile technology. You can do all sorts of fantastic things.
Yeah.
I tell you what, those of you that are still asking questions and commenting, I know that you're already in our Discord. If you've got some follow-on, join our Discord now. Come and hop in there with your questions, and I will field any questions and comments that you have directly after this stream finishes. So I can see there's a bunch of conversation about dependency and dependency hell and avoiding that. So hop in, ask your questions, and we'll do our best to answer them promptly as we finish. But thanks Primož. That was a great set of examples and demos. And I think we'll wrap it up there. So thank you very much for coming, everyone. We'll be back next week, but on Thursday, our usual slot. And about this time, as we're finishing now, next Thursday is when we'll be back. And join our Discord for Monday, and we'll post an event in our Discord so you can see a calendar event for when we'll be doing the office hours to dig into this a bit more with your own containers. Right, Primož, thank you very much, and we'll wrap it up there. See you, everyone. Thanks for coming.
See you, everyone.